Hey there, welcome to the channel. That is really wonderful. And that is Taste by Ollie. We're going to review Taste, but first we're going to go back in time a bit. Back in the late 1990s, there were only a handful of companies creating virtual instruments. That's when a small German startup founded by Stephen Schmidt and Volkner Heinz opened its doors. Called Native Instruments, they started creating soft synths with some decidedly Russian-sounding names, and in 2002 they released a sampler called Kontakt that allowed users to create their own sample-based virtual instruments. Little did anyone know back then that Kontakt would become one of the largest sample platforms in the world and allow for hundreds of boutique studios and bedroom producers to make instruments that anyone could purchase. Companies like SoundIron, AudioFire, Cariani Sounds, and Impact Soundworks sprung up and created some great libraries downloaded by thousands of users and used in movie scores, television shows, and advertisements across the globe. Enter Oliver Codd and his company, Ollie. Codd makes a variety of Kontakt libraries that sound great, including LA Modern Percussion, Nashville Scoring Strings, RCD Acoustic Guitar, and the new 12-string guitar, to name a few. But I likely would not have given Ollie a second look on any given day. Mostly because they are a boutique producer in a sea of sound engineers dominated by the likes of Spitfire Audio, Hans Zimmer, and Olafur Arnolds. I wouldn't have, except for something that came out last year called Taste. There's nothing extraordinary about Taste, and it didn't even catch my eye at the time. It's simply a sampling of all of Ollie's libraries, and it requires the full version of Kontakt, which unfortunately is a deal killer for a lot of musicians. Here's the catch though. It costs only $9, and it's 15 gig of samples. 15 gig. For comparisons, Omnisphere comes in at a whopping 64 gigs, which is roughly 4 times the size of Taste. But it costs 53 times the price. If you're like me and it takes you a bit of time to save up for big dollar libraries like Vintage Vault 4 or Keyscape, take some of that money and buy this instead. I promise you, you won't be sorry. Now, I've heard and bought some $9, $10, and $15 virtual instruments in the past. And well, they were probably worth less than $9 in most instances, to be frank. The sound quality just isn't there. They are okay for basement studio work, but not for professional stuff. That is absolutely not the case with Ollie instruments. I'll play a couple of samples here, but if you want to hear more, just head to the end of the video. All of these libraries appear to be well sampled and incorporate a certain creativity that Codd has, with good use of sonic palette, ARPs, attacks, and filters. The low-end booms and the high-end sparkles with good use of room ambience and reverb. Some of the LA Modern Percussion multis are a great example and are really impressive. You just feel like you're sitting in a giant auditorium of angry drummers. I give Ollie high marks for sound quality. There's no denying that the amount of content that you get for the price is top-notch with Taste. There are 67 individual instruments and 81 multis. If you splurge and go for the additional multi-pack 001, which is $19 on its own, or just $25 if you bundle it with Taste, you get another 292 additional patches. I have a couple favorite sounds that I want to showcase, and they all hail from the multi-category here. The first is from RCD Guitars, called 80s Drive. Here's the second one from the synth directory called Side Synth 1. That is just awesome sounding. Finally, from the multi-pack 001 is Ether 1, which is a monster patch with 13 total instruments, and that sounds like this. Both Taste and the expansion pack have a lot to offer, but many of these sounds are doubled up with an alternate patch or 2 or 5 with just some slight variability. I found that the expansion pack has quite a few of these in spots. On the plus side though, you can see that some of these multis are incredibly complex with multiple layers that you can control as you are playing. And with 15 gig under the hood, I give Taste a 20 out of 20 for content. I've added this category to our reviews because to me, one of the most important elements of a good instrument is how much it inspires you. Does it trigger a song in your head, or is it somehow different from the 8 other EDM drum machines that you just heard? There are thousands of VSTs out there, and it's the unique ones that should get noticed. I think Taste does stand out, but it's also not a game changer in my opinion. Another important element to this category is complexity. Anyone can reproduce a simple sine wave, slap an effect on it, and call it a patch, but not anyone can do this. Or this. You have to have a good balance between order and chaos, logic and emotion, and sound versus silence to be able to link instruments into complex patches that work and don't just turn into mush. Most of the instruments in the Taste package manage to do that pretty well. There is a good mix of both single and complex patches, and the combination of all these libraries together means that there is a lot of source material to stack in different ways. You can tell that Kontakt is also very creative and that he purposefully does things like include the string buzz and slap on a guitar sample, and how he morphs guitar sounds into synth sounds and vice versa. There were definitely several, "oh that's cool" moments when I was going through these libraries. In essence, there is quite a lot of variability with the type of sounds and styles, and you can tell Kontakt is a creative guy in the way that he puts his patches together. I give Taste an 8 out of 10 for inspiration. Kontakt has stated that he likes to go for a simplistic style. This works well with these instruments, and the controls are easy to figure out through trial and error for the most part. I'm not necessarily a minimalist type, and I also like a lot of control, so I tend to grade one-knob wonder type instruments pretty harshly. While there's nothing here that is sparse, there is also nothing on the order of complexity as, say, Tape's .01 or Piano Colors. As far as looks go, there is really nothing here that overtly catches the eye, but there is also nothing that distracts you from your creative process either. So it's kind of a no harm, no foul approach. I would rather have a simple, no-frills screen to look at rather than something garish. So with its no-nonsense approach and minimalistic appeal, I give Taste an overall mark of 6 out of 10 for the interface. Sound design capabilities is the one thing that usually varies quite a bit from VST to VST, and some instruments provide a lot of features and some hardly provide any at all. Taste and its instruments follow the latter approach and are more akin to a sample pack than, say, something like a complex analog synthesizer with 30 different knobs. Because of that, the one thing I would like to see here is more control. Most of these instruments have basic things like filters, ADSR control, and ARPs, but they don't go too much deeper than that. For instance, you can see with RCD guitars, there is both a high and low pass filter with AHDSR control, controls over velocity, including the ability to randomize your velocity and humanize pitch control, and a sequencer. Scoring Synths provides several mic options, ADSR, note offset, an arpeggiator, and step sequencer. So essentially the creativity comes from COD, and you have some limits as to what you can do, unless you want to dive under the hood. That's right. While some Kontakt instrument manufacturers don't allow you to peek at the innards of their instruments, Ollie does. Just click on the wrench icon and you can tweak away, if you know how to use Kontakt, that is. And if you do, you can route, add sequences, effects, and modulate in all of Kontakt's glory. I have mixed feelings about the sound design capabilities of the instruments in Taste, because on one hand they lack the control of something like Omnisphere or Falcon, but on the other hand, COD has provided access to the scripts and all the inner workings of Kontakt. And at the end of the day, this is a $9 instrument, not a $400 instrument. Because of that, I hesitatingly give Taste a 12 out of 20. If we add up all the scores, my final tally on Taste is an 85 out of 100. That's a good score, and if you consider the price, it's an excellent score. Because of that, I give it a must-buy if you own Kontakt. Really, it's $9. That's like if somebody wanted to sell you the headstock of a $2,000 Paul Reed Smith for $9. I mean, it's the headstock from a Paul Reed Smith for $9. Yeah, I want the headstock of a Paul Reed Smith for $9. If I had any gripes about Taste, they would mainly fall under the "it's native instruments fault" category. And this includes things such as really long load times, and the small GUI that we are forced to live with. And I would love to see NKS compatibility with these so that I can just go to my side library menu instead of the old-fashioned drive and file list. But really, as I mentioned earlier, for the price of a large coffee and bagel, you can instead stuff your hard drive full of guitar, drum, and violin goodness. You'll enjoy the coffee and bagel for about 15 minutes. Taste, you'll enjoy for a lot longer. I'll play us out with some samples from Taste. Please do hit that like and subscribe, and we will see you on the other side of the mountain.